Alright guys, so we are going to look at how to submit a work order from the GoMax app for our MaxPanda work order system. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select how you get to your apps, unless you have the GoMax app on your desk, your screen. I have to select this button down here, and then we go from there. So I select that. Once again, what you're looking for is the GoMax app. So if you haven't seen the other video, this is what you look for and search for on your app store. We're going to click on that, and that'll bring up the app. And then here's our main screen. So what we're going to check out today is the other 4 buttons on the bottom, the work order buttons. So first we're going to start with submit work order, and we'll click on that and see where that takes us and how to fill that out. It's very easy. It's just like any other form that you have online. There's all sorts of different parameters that you can fill in. I don't feel like I really need to go into huge detail about them. There are a couple things I'd like to cover just so that we can kind of be on the same page. Work order title obviously is just the title of the work order. Try to be descriptive. There's another area to put the short description box if you need to expand on that, but please don't just put something's broken and that's it. Be a little bit descriptive in your work order title, because that's what we see in the list. Your ID, your personal ID, that's just a number that you come up with that is the way you are going to designate the work orders that you're creating. That has nothing to do with our system here down in maintenance. The next one is category, and we're going to open that up. That's just going to be the general categories of what could be need to be fixed or needs to be looked at. So we're going to put general as a test, and we'll put test up here. There we go, test. ID. So if I were to put an ID, it would be like SK1, and then when I'm looking for my own work orders, I can SK and then just remember the number, and that's really helpful for that. Next thing, after we have our ID personal category, we're going to do priority. So priority, if you select it, we'll bring up a menu there. Big thing I want to sit and pause on for a minute is this 911 emergency priority. So that is not like something you just want to get done really badly. That is something as if water's flowing out of of a wall, or there's main damage, and this is only after you've given me or the person on call a phone call to let us know and actually gotten a hold of us so that you can make sure that's being taken care of. The 911 emergency priority it's an emergency thing. So really you should be submitting this work order after you've called somebody to take care of it, not before. It's like, oh, I put a work order in 3 hours ago for the water coming up from the ground or coming out of a wall, and I thought you guys would get it right away. It doesn't work that way. You still have to give us a call if it's something that's bad, including like heat or things like that. We need to know right away. So that's what that priority is about. The other ones are just priorities by the numbers right here, and they do go up in days. 1 is 1 day, 2 is 2 days, but after that 3 days is 7 days, 4 is 14 days, and it kind of goes up exponentially past that. So there are some different ones that don't have that look different than a normal scheme that we have there, and that's because those are stock ones, these guys right here, and I can't get rid of them. So they're just going to stay right there, and just don't use those. Use the ones that have the days attached to them, like these ones up here, the 1 through 6 or the 911. So we're going to put this one at a 4. It's just it's just an example. The next is short description. So in there you can be more specific about where things are in location in a building or a unit. And then notes, obviously you can do there too. Don't worry about external emails or customer. The next thing we're going to focus on is our building groups. So right here, this whole entire area, you have to start from the top and go down. So you have to start here and you have to move down. If you do that backwards, so if you start here and you go up, when you select, if you were to select location first and then building group, it'll actually, building group will erase these two. It populates those menus. So you have to start at the top. So you have to start at building group, down to building, down the location. And each menu will populate the next menu. Populate means that it'll bring up the information underneath that building group. So let's look at a building group. So the building groups are all in the hundreds range of our campus-wide address system. So 100, center campus, is going to be anything that has a 100-digit address. So that's going to be the whole lodge. So room 101 is address 101. The lodge itself as a building is 100. But like Grand Pavilion and the water slide are all like 150s, I think, or 160s up there somewhere. So we need to make sure that we just, if you have the address, you'll know where to look for. We are planning on having the address of every location or room that you're in on the back of the door that you enter that room into. So if you were coming into the lodge and you went into the main office, it would be on that door when you walk into the main office. And it would have the address and probably even a QR code that you can scan for this system. So for now, we're going to go to Pine Ridge. So we're going to select the 500. And then after that, it's just going to be just Pine Ridge building. So I moved down to building. Let me slow down. So we have the building group is selected. We're going to move to building. And so we don't have every single building on camp. That's why we started with building group, and that's why we have the building groups. So all of our units are going to be separated by building, not by unit, when we're in the building section. So there's only 4 buildings for Pine Ridge. Pine Ridge actually has 16 units, and we're going to separate those when we get to the location stage of picking this. So Pine Ridge 1 building, Pine Ridge Building 1 is actually units 1 through 4. That might be a little confusing, but it's just the actual physical building. The thing you can see from the GPS is we're looking at the roof. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. It goes all the way across, starting with 1 through 4. So we'll select number 1, and then we'll go to locations. And from locations, you'll have all these separate units. So you have, let's kind of break these down really quick. You have the unit building right here, and then you have the number right here, and then lower down, if I could circle better, you'll see that that's bunk room or bedroom. So each Pine Ridge unit has a bunk room and a bedroom because they're separate they're separate rooms. We didn't separate the bathrooms. So each unit will have a bunk room and a bedroom, except for the lower left unit. So in this way, 3 is going to have an extra one because it's going to have a mechanical room in there. Actually, no, we did that differently. Never mind. So you can see the mechanical room is right here. So we're going to select that. I don't think I have anything attached to it right now, but mechanical room. There you go. So that's all set up there, and that's all you really need to do. And once we get QR code set up, you'll use that barcode scanner, and that'll actually fill that all in for you, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're looking for it, just know that it's in an order of those addresses. So if you know the number of the room you're in, you should be able to get all that filled out relatively quickly, because you look for the 100s, then you look for that specific building, and then you look for the number itself. So assets right there, you don't really have to worry about that unless you're maintenance. Enter work area. If you want to select that, that'll let us know. We can come in and we don't have to find you and make sure it's okay. That's just telling it's okay. When you first start the work order and start putting in numbers, this will fill itself out, the number and the time. So it's been 10 minutes since we did that. If you look up here at my clock, it's 10:59 and it says 10:50. And then obviously this is the date. If you want to change that, you can. You can change both of these. You can change the date however you want, or you can change the time wherever you want. And then these lower ones are just for you to add things, pictures, or if somebody wrote a note about something, you could put it on there, and then we'd have that a note on the file. After that, you hit submit right there, and you are ready to go. So we'll hit submit. It tells you a cool little fact about animals when it does it, which is kind of cool. And then this is basically saying you're done. If you need to edit your work order, you can. And like I said before, there's a work order status, and then there's the personal ID. This is our work order that we use right here, this number. down in maintenance, or actually just in the main system. And then your work order system number will be something that you can search, but like mine is SK1. So that's just something that you can search personally. And then, so yeah, this is what the work order is going to look like. We have to okay work orders. So right now this one's pending because I haven't gone through and approved it. So there's a process there, and it tells you when things have been approved or when they've been rejected, or whatever the case may be. So that is submitting a work order, and then once you've submitted it, you can add things like contacts, what your name is, or the primary contact, the phone number, alternate contact, all that stuff. You can add those things to the work order if you would like. It's just fill it out like a normal form on your any other website. And there you go back to there. All this other stuff is going to be all these buttons are going to be mostly have to deal with maintenance and how we do things, so you don't have to really worry about this. There is things like the status history. So if we change, like it'll say initial creation, once I change it to pending, or from pending to approved, it'll mark that in there. If we make a comment, I think it even marks that. So that just tells you how it changes status and those types of things. So you can look through the stuff. The big thing is if you change anything, like if you go into the work order details, which is that top one where it says work order, and you change something in this area or anywhere on this screen, you have to make sure that you go down and you hit save right here. If you don't, if you were just to go back and hit this triangle up here to go back, and that's how you go back in the system, it won't save the information and you lose it. So you always want to hit the save. You get a cool little information thing that when it's loading, and then it goes back to that. So now you have a work order written, and that's what this video is about. So we're going to cut it off for now, and we'll be back to go over the other 3 buttons. Should take a little less time than this one.